What's up, everybody? I'm Amber. This is Amber's Logic. Got a new video for you today. Got the recap of yesterday's UFC 257 lightweight bout. Poirier versus McGregor 2. Let's get into it. So, my expectations for the fight is I thought this was a tune-up for, and this sounds disrespectful, but I thought that this was a tune-up fight with McGregor for something bigger down the line. Maybe Masvidal, maybe somebody else down the line. There was going to be a real big fight. And I know Poirier's good, and I know that he's dangerous, and he did lose to McGregor early on in his career, and that he had a lot to prove. I knew all that. But I just figured that McGregor was so much on the line as far as money that he can make in and outside of the UFC that he would really come in here, show up, and show out. That was what I thought. Because I know he was talking about fighting Pacquiao and all this other stuff. And in order to do that, you need to look spectacular in your discipline, which is UFC and MMA. So I thought that this was going to go maybe a round, and then Conor would catch him and get him the fuck out of here. That's just what I thought. I was wrong. Now let's go into this fight and just see what happened in the demise of the king, former king, Conor McGregor. So, first round, I thought that McGregor was about to get Poirier out of here. He was catching him with combinations. He was on his helmet, and he was catching him. And you know what? As far as hands, McGregor's slick with those hands and counter punching and all. He's slick. But the problem with him is he don't got no stamina, and his defense is suspect. His defense is his offense, and you never gonna go. You're not going to have a long career with that mentality where you're not able to defend. It's all about your O. It'll last for a certain amount of time, but after a certain point, you will get exposed. And if you notice recently, Conor McGregor has been getting exposed by when he's fighting truly complete fighters, as a Khabib and people of this nature. Even like one of the Diaz brothers, and like they're complete fighters. He has issues with those type of fighters. And Poirier was getting worked in that first round. I thought he was gonna get out of it. He was catching some mean counter shots. And he was eating them like Scooby snacks. Which was interesting too. It doesn't seem like McGregor got the same pop. He was hitting him clean, but it was just like Poirier was eating those shots. So then, this is where the tables turn. Poirier started doing those lower leg kicks on his lead leg. And it changed the whole complexion of this fight. Once he started doing that, it threw McGregor's whole game off, and also McGregor doesn't have stamina. If you can get out the first round with McGregor, you'll probably win more times than not. I say 8 out of 10, you'll probably win, because in those first rounds he's explosive. So then once Poirier was able to settle down, he started going with those low kicks. And he was tearing up McGregor's lead leg, where you could see he couldn't plant, and it wasn't the same. He just couldn't get off. And then as Poirier started seeing McGregor starting to kind of come down, his energy and what he was doing, he started going forward and letting his hands go. He was eating some shots, but he was letting his hands go. And he eventually caught McGregor and slept McGregor, and that's just it. Poirier's defense also is suspect. His chin is always there. He's going in a straight line. McGregor just didn't have the electricity or the balance to do that. And his stance was all weird and wide. Like, he couldn't even check those kicks. Like, that's basic MMA. I just think he's done. I just think he needs to retire. I think he had a run. It was entertaining. He did a lot for the sport. But ever since he got that bag for Mayweather, he hasn't been the same fighter. And that's understandable to an extent, getting that type of money, and then he got these other business ventures with the whiskey. I actually just think he looks at MMA now just as a check, as before he looked like he wanted to be the best. Once you lose that hunger to be the best and just get a check, these are the things that happen. You get knocked out. You don't have the win that you used to have. He just doesn't have the love anymore. Even in like the post fight interview, he lost, but it's just like, no, I lost. Just get me the hell out of here and give me my check. The love isn't there anymore. And then at that, I don't know who he can actually beat now in his division. It's like the game has passed him by, kind of like with Ronda Rousey, where she just had this ascension because she was so ahead. But then when everybody caught up, she didn't have another move, and they got her out of there. And that's the same with McGregor. Once they figured out how you counter and your little basic 1-2 moves, you get exposed. And he didn't have another move. He doesn't have any other chinks in the armor. He can't go to the ground. His game is simple, effective because he had power and speed that a lot of people didn't have, and they couldn't adjust. Now that the adjustments have been made, he's just an average MMA fighter at this point. He's just a name. There's no fear behind it now. It's just a name. And it's unfortunate because I still think he has ability and does have some love for the sport, but not enough to go hard and sacrifice to really be the best that he can be. I think this is it. I think he should retire. Should be his swan song. Like, okay, I think I'm done. And if he comes back, he needs to come back a completely different fighter, and I just don't know if that's possible. I enjoyed the fight. I enjoyed the gamemanship as far as figuring it out and watching adjustments of Poirier and things of that nature. But I just think we're done now with McGregor. It's enough now. Thank you for the show. Thank you for the showmanship. Thank you for the bravado. Thank you for really putting MMA on the map like that and bringing energy to the sport and the arrogance and the style, the finesse. I respect it, McGregor. I know you're done now. You're washed. But when you were in your prime, you were something to watch, sir. You were something to watch. And I appreciated all your shenanigans, hijinks, disrespecting of your opponents. You were like a WWE promo skit in MMA. And you were needed. When you evolved, you were needed for the game. You were needed. So I will never disrespect you and say like, you trash, you should never. You did exactly what you needed to do. You got the bag you needed to get. So just ride off into the sunset. Don't take any more beatings, bro. You don't need it. You don't need the cash, bro. Don't take any more beatings. If you're going to come back for real. If not, man, just sit down. Sit it out, bro. Work on the whiskey. Do some movies. Just kind of... And maybe you need to go to WWE to keep it a buck. You already know how to do like the promos and the skits and all that. You already ready. You already talk slick. So I think you should just transition to WWE, and you and Ronda Rousey can be a tag team of some sort. Because MMA now, you're not good enough anymore to compete on the high level. So I think you need to look within yourself and be honest and say, you know what? I had a nice run, but it's time to go on to other ventures now. Thank you for the good fights. Thank you for the entertaining commentary, interviews, bashing of opponents, McGregor. Thank you, but it's over. It's done. I don't want to see you no more out here, bro. It's a wrap. I'm Amber. This is Amber's Logic. This is my recap of McGregor getting slept again. Shout out to Poirier for the win, bro, and avenging your loss to McGregor early on. So, yeah, this is my recap of UFC 257's fight between McGregor and Poirier Part 2. Poirier avenged his loss. So now they're 1-on-1. Maybe they can have a third fight. But if they do, I think McGregor gets slept again. So let's just be happy that we saw McGregor in his prime and what he did for the sport and all that. Let's not trash him too much on the internet because he's done a lot. So I'm Amber. This is Amber's Logic. Retire McGregor. Gone.